hey, congratulations for your film, Liam White, The Forgettable Life of Liam White.
Oh, thank you, very much appreciated.
Such a mouthful for a
Right,
title, but we get the point. That's for sure. So let's start off with that easy question. Where the original idea came from for Liam White?
So that particular character was a part of a short mini series that I wrote. It was about a completely different character. It was about a woman and her sort of that guy that comes around, that and even for men, that woman that comes around, that's when they call you, you don't want to answer that call, but you end up answering that call anyway. He was that character for the lead character of the series. So he was sort of a side character in that series. And then ultimately I finished the series and it just wasn't that good. So so I kind of scrapped it. But I liked the character and I liked what I had written for him. So I decided to move forward with that character, and then little by little the movie just started forming, and it turned into what it is.
So how did you want to craft Liam White? Because the character seems to be struggling throughout the film. Both sort of this emotional roller coaster ride
Right.
for himself. Yeah.
Yeah. So it really is sort of a very mild look at stages of grief. Bargaining. Depression. This kind of disbelief. Those sort of that sort of cycle that you go through when you have to come to terms with something that may be difficult. So it's sort of a mild interpretation of that, and I think you can see the phases happening, but it doesn't really hit you over the head with it. But other than that, it was really just I tell people all the time that the film, when you read the synopsis and the log line, it sounds like it's about death, but it's really not. It's really about life, and it's really about transitioning in phases of life and realizing what you can take with you, what you can't, what's acceptable type of behavior for the next phase. But you go through it, in like in anything, sometimes you can romanticize old periods of the past, even though it may have been unhealthy for you. But the brain can sort of play tricks on you, and I think he does that. I think he goes through that as well, where some days he's perfectly okay with what may come, and then other days he just resists and he refuses.
So how many characters did you want to create for Liam White to interact with in terms of like coming to terms for his life, or trying to establish life with certain people?
Yeah, so it ended up being about 5 or 6 people that he interacts with, essentially for the duration of the film. And they all represent sort of different parts of himself and parts of his personality and stages in his life. He has friends that, he has a sister that he talks to. He has a friend that he's been friends with since high school, a relatively new girlfriend. And then he has to deal with parent issues as well. So it's really all these people sort of bring a different side of him out, and they're all sort of therapeutic in their own ways. They allow him to be himself in sort of every environment that he's in, which is important. I think it's important to be around people that are okay with you and you being you, even if some days you're pretty prickly. They understand, okay, this is not a good day, but they don't turn their back on you. It's good to have those type of people in your corner.
Of course, everyone has their own reaction towards his condition too, and that was one of the things that you also wanted to portray in this movie, right?
Yeah, some people he's told completely. Some people he hasn't really told at all. Some people he's told, but he hasn't really given the full spectrum of how dire his situation is. So the people are reacting to the information that they hear from him, but they're also reacting to their sort of intuition. And even if he doesn't say he's in bad shape, I mean, you can just tell by his by his demeanor that he's not in good shape either.
So how much of research did you do into like people who are stricken with cancer and how they actually cope with these things?
Yeah, so I didn't want to do too much of it. And the reason being is because I didn't want to have it be a bit of cliche or a bit of that sort of space that you've seen before. On face value, the film is about a writer who gets a terminal illness and he has to deal with the last stages of his life. In a lot of ways, you've probably seen that movie before. So it was important for us to sort of step out of the mold, using that as sort of the foundation, but to really step out of the mold and create our own unique look at what the end stages of a particular person's life. We even played with the title, The Forgettable Life of Liam White, and we know that no one is forgettable in their own way, right? If you remain true to yourself, you impact the world in even the smallest way. So it's important to understand how important you are as an individual and sort of maximize your time here and maximize the gifts that you've been given, and you've been given them those things so you can impact the world in some way.
So in the end, it's really a life lesson to all of us who watch a film like this.
Yeah, it's a feel good story. It's the feel good story of the year. It's the feel good story of the year.
Now, of course, you directed a few movies before, but this is sort of a straight up drama, straight up story. Without the pizzazz, or action sequences and all this kind of stuff. Does a film like this make it easier as a director for yourself?
It doesn't make it easier. What it does is I think if you talk to any director, they'll tell you, or I shouldn't say any. If you talk to most directors, they'll tell you the most interesting, the most fun part of directing are simply conversations and being able to play with the actors in the conversations. Sometimes the action scenes and the this and the that can become very technical and mechanical, so there's not a lot of artistry to it. And I think when you have two people sitting down talking about something important or something funny, or the fun is creating that life inside of that space. So it's not necessarily easier. Logistically, it's easier, yes, but as a director and as an artist, in a lot of ways, it's harder to keep what's essentially a series of interactions and conversations between one man and someone else. And to keep that interesting, it can be very draining, mentally draining, just to keep that level of creativity up.
Mm-hmm. Now, to find the right actor to play Liam White, because obviously Liam White goes through his emotions, goes through his the different stages. Not to mention to find that right actor who seemed to I don't want to say stare off in the space, because it seems like there's a lot of things going on in his head. But tell us why Shaun Woodland was perfect as a Liam White for you.
Yeah, well, the short answer is I really believe in Shaun, right? I really believe in him as an actor. I see the sort of gold mine that's in there, and he's a really good actor to work with because he's open to me sort of trying to pull him out of that. A lot of younger actors or actors that haven't quite crossed the threshold of Hollywood just yet. A lot of them get sort of they get typecast in a way, depending on how they look. To women, if they're attractive, they get the attractive girlfriend or whatever. To men, and they're attractive, they get the not the boyfriend, but like the bad boyfriend. So people get typecast, and I think independent films and independent features in particular are really the place to just go for it and to push yourself in places that you're not getting these opportunities anywhere else. So just to really go for it. So, that's the long answer. The short answer is, I wrote it with Shaun in mind. So once I was done with the readable draft, I sent it to him, and we had worked together before. So I don't really ask him to do my films anymore. I'm just like, dude, I got something, let's do it. And he's always down, so it's always a good time.
What draws you into these type of dramas and indie filmmaking for yourself?
Yeah, I think what interested me in this was finding a way, in this particular movie, was finding a way to make a situation like this alive, to bring something like this alive. And I think, I tell people, to me, it's borderline a comedy. I think it's I think it's really funny. I don't know if everybody else is going to feel that way, but I think it's really funny. But just the challenge of taking something so heavy and figuring out how to do it differently and to bring it alive was the most exciting part about it.
Now I don't want to spoil anything out of your movie, but there was one part where someone gave Liam White extreme hope in terms of his cancer prognosis. Why was it so important to bring that into a film like this? For a person who is trying to struggle through his relationships.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you asked that. You're the first person that asked me that, and it's a really good question. I think the commentary that I was making, again, I didn't make a film about death. I made a film about life, right? So I made, in particular, the transition from one phase of life to the other. And the commentary that I was making with the different types of people that he runs into is that sometimes when you want to change, you'll find people that will purposely try to hold you back from that, right? That will purposely take advantage of your vulnerability in a particular time or a particular space. So that's the commentary I was making. Not necessarily, I mean, it played out the way it did because the subject matter was the way it is. But the overarching commentary that I was making was that sometimes, for example, if you're an alcoholic and you decide you're going to stop drinking, most people will understand, and hopefully most people will understand, and they'll be supportive of your decision. However, you might have that one person or that one friend is, one drink won't hurt. What are you gonna, we're doing just fine. And that person is trying to pull you back, and that's essentially what the character did in the movie, was make him feel like he didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to change. But he does. And that's the nature of life. You have to sort of go from one phase to the other. If not, then you're sort of, that kind of, if you're not growing, you're dying kind of thing. And it is a little bit of that.
That is terrific. That's a great insight, Harold. So what's next for you after a project like this?
Yeah, I just did a suspense thriller called Gaslight, and it's a la Single White Female, Fatal Attraction, A Thin Line, and it's one of those films that's very that's more commercial, that's more sort of tried and true popcorn entertainment type of stuff, which is fun. I had a good time because I could really just not have to think about how to be super special and just have a lot of fun. So I'm really excited about that. And it turned out really, really well, and we're getting some good traction on it now. So I'm excited about where that's going to go. And I think the next phase for me as a filmmaker is moving into bigger films, of course. Well, I shouldn't say of course, not everybody wants to do that, but moving into bigger films. But I think the space that I'm moving into now is sort of very smart action.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where I'm going. So films like, obviously Tenet is way on the other end of the spectrum, but films in that vein are kind of where I'm headed, I think. Now, if you interview me again in a year, I'll tell you something totally different. Tell you something totally different.
Well, you never know, Harold. I mean, we might be having this conversation again in a year.
Right.
So we'll see. Well, Harold, hey, thank you very much for speaking to us about Liam White, The Forgettable Life of Liam White. Hopefully everyone will get to check out this very emotional, character-driven story that you made up.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So it is coming out on Roku. We have we got a very good deal with Roku, so we're really excited about that. So it's going to be released on Roku December 1st of 2021. So this year, this holiday season, and again, I think it's pretty funny. Everybody else might not feel that way, but it does have a really a holiday feel to it, ironically. So it's actually a really good film to watch during the holidays. So I suggest you do that. But it'll be on Roku December 1st, and then we'll move into rentals and buys December 7th. So we're really excited about that.
Most excellent. Well, hey, appreciate this talk, and congratulations once again. Hopefully we get to do this again, maybe a year from now.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Call me. I'm ready. Anytime you need me, I'll be there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot.